Okay, so I want to talk about the possibility, a very simple chain of events that could extend this Bitcoin bull market a lot more further into the future than or originally thought. And this doesn't have to do with the current uh time that we're looking at this chart. It has to do with eventually when the bull market comes to an end as originally thought. So we're gonna go over Bitcoin, we're gonna go over Mara stock, and we're gonna talk about this, but real quick, right? I want to explain this to you guys. So I just been thinking about this recently. Before we jump into the charts, I'm gonna make it super quick. So there is a lot of tariff pressure still out there, right? We're still seeing tariffs happen. There's good news and bad news constantly coming out randomly, right? And we're still waiting for inflation to show that the Fed, to prove to the Fed that it's going towards their 2% flat target, and then we can look at the Fed to potentially cut rates soon later this year. I do expect, personally, this is all just my own opinion, that rate cuts will happen soon. Um, and especially with that jobs report that came out recently, right? It's going to put a lot of pressure on the Fed, but not just that. There's a lot of pressure for the government, the U.S. government, to want to print more cash. They cannot go uh, too long without printing more USD, right? So understanding that, I said this in last year, 2024, and I said this a lot during early 2025, that I'm expecting, just due to historic performance and usually the 4-year cycle, Bitcoin to come to a top sometime in Q4, uh, ideally after October, um, potentially November, right? It's sort of what I've been saying. But now, well, let me show you guys, right? So right now, what we have is a lot of we have a lot of pumps this year, right? We're in a bull market, so we're seeing Bitcoin um, rise up a lot, consolidate for a bit, rise up a lot. And I've been going over a lot of these support levels, a lot of these resistance levels in detail in previous videos. But as we continue higher, and I gave so many reasons, and I will later this week, I'll give more reasons on why I believe the bull market is still there. For those of you that are new, I'm going to be talking about it more in soon to be created videos. But if we're expecting these rate cuts to happen and they keep getting delayed due to the Fed being very cautious, as we enter the actual end of the bull cycle, if we start seeing rate cuts around that time, can that potentially, and I'm just thinking about it, I'm not saying it will, I'm just sharing my opinion, but I'm very interested in seeing if it's going to extend the bull market a bit further into 2026. As of course, it's not just one rate cut all the way down, it's multiple cuts. So if that happens and we start seeing, consistent, maybe small cuts here and there, every FOMC meeting, that could be a good enough reason for growth assets like Bitcoin, a lot of growth stocks, and so on, to potentially just keep, premium levels and create more premium levels and go much, much higher, potentially breaking over 200, even 300s. And like, my conservative bull market top at the moment is 150K. Conservatively, it can go much higher than that very easily. We've seen Bitcoin go up like crazy, um, but yeah, it's just something to think about, right? Because if these rate cuts get delayed, and let's just say worst scenario, it starts happening in 2026, if we get an indication that the bear market has started, it can also lead to a potential very short-lived, the shortest bear market in Bitcoin's history. That could be a possibility as well. So these rate cuts are a very big deal, of course, and they can flow a lot of money into a lot of assets like Bitcoin. So it's very interesting. I'm very much excited because this can be the first. I mean, we've seen Bitcoin go through so many stages that it's never have in history. I mean, we got ETFs for it. We have a ton of institutional adoption. It's just and we have laws in place and coming out in the future for crypto. So it's incredible, and this can be the first time in history where we see either an extended bull market, or if rate cuts or scenario get delayed a lot further, because we still have a lot of these tariffs, causing fear for the Fed to make a dovish decision. But yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on, right? Um, it's very, very interesting, and I'm very much excited. Regardless, I still believe Bitcoin has a lot more to go. But yeah, I'm gonna share my opinions on the charts, and we're gonna jump into tomorrow right after. So in previous videos, to keep it simple, we've been keeping track of this overall red retracement area, which is a support area for the. And I kept saying I have this one down here. I explained what this was in a previous video. This is like worst scenario we start seeing like super random negative news. This is just a alternative. um I don't expect this to be filled. Again, it's just for any potential random news that no one can predict. Like it can be tariffs getting extremely worse, or any new US economic data that comes out that just makes it really difficult for the Fed to cut rates. That, I mean, as of right now, the jobs report was really good for, rate cuts in the future potentially. Um, so it's not a bad thing for Bitcoin, at least for higher prices, right? So this is, I'm not expecting it, but I have it there in case it becomes relevant in the future. But I kept saying that this area is very, very important. It's an overall retracement support for from this move down here. Last time we went into short-term deep value. This is a higher low setup for our price target, or at least my price target of 128K next leg up. Trade within the gap between the 1.236 extension at 128K and the 1.38 at 136K. So I want to see the price come up into that area, breaking that 128K, and that's from there we'll start looking at new supportive structures and how healthy the chart is, or the price is at that point. But as of right now, I kept saying, and I kept stressing about in previous videos, it's very likely that price comes into this area. Then I gave you guys a bearish supportive extension, overlapping with this area created with previous price action, to show that we're not just looking for the price to break into the red at 114.5K. I'm looking for the red to be filled a bit more, and it goes all the way down to 108K. So what happens is that the price comes down, and then on the last video, I kept saying I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen enough price action. I wouldn't be surprised if the price wants to come up higher. We finally saw the RSI showing some nice discounted accumulation opportunity. Not just that, we are in the support areas. So again, these support areas are opportunities to accumulate in what's believed to be a good deal for taking some long positions, right? So from there, we came up. I kept saying the 120 moving average is very, very important. We see Bitcoin flirt with this area quite a bit. So we came up into it, and we have retracement up here for an overall resistance from this entire move down that we have so far. So as of right now, because we don't have bullish confirmation, I'm going to go over what bullish confirmation looks like once again in this video. But basically, the idea is that as Bitcoin is creating these small higher highs and higher low structure, the RSI has not actually, it's pretty much premium, but as it came down, it didn't have enough bearish momentum to break micro supports. Instead, the price went higher and the RSI followed the price higher, but it did not overexhaust itself whatsoever. We have not seen the RSI break the 70% or the 70 line, indicating aggressive oversold short-term prices. Instead, it's not passing the 70. So we still have opportunity for the price to come up into the overall retracement resistance area, where then at that point, and there's a few ways of looking at this, but either way, we can either go up into this area, come down, have one more low before we go up and start working our way to new highs. The idea is that I'm still looking for the price to come down and break the 0.5 retracement at 110.7K. Ideally, I want to see the price hit or even break below 110 briefly before I'm more confident with saying that the low is in, at least in my charts, right? So with that being said, let me see if I can remove the drawing. There's two ways that this area up here can play out. It's quite simple. We can either, before I jump into Mara, this is gonna make sense, but we can either continue up into that area simply, just higher prices. It keeps trending up. The RSI doesn't have to overexhaust itself, but it's very nice to see that it hasn't. So there's still some short-term bullish momentum. So we go up into that area now, or we hold a very simple retracement from this move. So hold this little bit of an actual more reasonable higher low. So it will look something like this, where the price goes up, comes down, and goes up into this area, and then from there we come down, break the 0.5, 110k, and then we go up into a new high. Right, this will be a very wide corrective move. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up into this area and fails to break the 117.5k line, just because we have a really nice reasonable, you know, descending resistance line to just keep an eye on. So that's the ideal scenario. We come down. I mean, it can happen now. We don't have to hold this yellow support. Regardless, the idea is that any higher move should not be viewed as FOMO, hyped, overly optimistic short term, because again, this is a resistance area that also has a descending resistance overlapping with it. There could be a lot of selling pressure there. And if I look up the heat map for Bitcoin, liquidation heat map, it will probably represent something supporting the 117.5k line. You guys can probably look it up yourself if you're interested in that. It's public, anyone can access it. But the idea is that we either come down now in to the 110k line, hitting that 0.5. So we have a really good opportunity to accumulate in a much more, confident low opportunity. So yeah, we either come down now or we go up into retracement. The bulls will probably exhaust themselves when we come down. And then for bullish confirmation, before we jump into Mara, again, it will make sense in just a moment. Bullish confirmation will be very simple. The price holds that yellow support line that I had a moment ago. So I'm actually going to leave it up as of right now. There's no reason I'm going to be mentioning it a lot until we have that confirmation. But it ranges from 113.3 to 114.4 K. So we either hold support or go up higher. The idea is that the price, I will follow the price as it continues higher into the retracement area. If it does, this will just be an idea to understand that if we break below 113.3K, it's very likely that we can easily come down, have that one more low, fall deeper into the blue support area, allowing the price to break the 0.5, 110K, really good buying opportunity. One more low will make this area a lot more attractive, and then from there we're up right to that 128K level. At least that's what I'm looking for. For bullish confirmation, either we hold and we break up into this area, or we just break up over the 118.9K line. So the idea is that the moment the price has enough bullish volume to break to and over 119K basically, it's going to invalidate reaching that 0.5, and then from there we're up. And I'm still holding onto the $70,000 BitU position. There's no reason for me to sell. I would like to add more if we can break below the 0.5. If not, then I will I might just add like 5K at this support, because it's still within the red accumulation. So I might add another 5K and then maybe another 5K or even another 10 or whatever if we break the 0.5 to be more aggressive. But the idea is that if we break over, if we hold the support or just go higher and we break 119, then there's enough bullish momentum in the price, in the volume, to basically hold the price higher, create FOMO hype, whatever it's going to do, and we won't see another low. There's also the possibility of the price finding resistance within this area. Like I said, I'll follow the price up, and then from there, this will be the new support area. As long as we don't break below the 0.618 support on this retracement, wherever it's at the moment the price comes down into it. As long as it doesn't break that, then it holds the possibility for the price to still break the 119 line and then go up higher. So um, the low could be in. I'm just waiting for bullish confirmation. This rally is not enough to convince me. It's simply still downtrend. It has not created a higher high from any of these. It has not even broken through the resistance area. It has not broken the descending resistance. There's no reason to be overly optimistic. It's just risk management, it's position sizing, it's understanding that we're still in a downtrend and we have not broken out of it. But breaking, or at least the price going higher, breaking small resistance swing highs, and the price is holding micro supports really well, and is struggling to break the 120 moving average below and the 120 moving average, and then the RSI is still showing that it wants to go higher. We still have opportunities to come into this area, but once we do, we got to keep in mind that we have a support area that will follow the price, and then we also have that 119K line to keep an eye on. If the price breaks below yellow support, then it's very likely that we can potentially extend lower into this area. Regardless, we either break up previous swing, we break up higher, or any further dip. If we have a one more low scenario, it will be super short lived. And the reason I like to accumulate my swing trades early is because just like this moved, right? This move and the break out of it, it all happened on the weekend. I cannot buy BitU on the weekend during closed hours. I would rather be early because, again, these discounted prices, in my opinion, are not very sustainable, and usually they're very short lived and V-shaped recoveries, and we're up higher, right? It's very soon. I do believe Bitcoin will be much higher, but again, there's no reason to try to time a bottom, especially if you're trading, in my opinion, BitU, for example, because a lot of these aggressive fluctuations or recoveries tend to happen during closed market hours, and I would rather be early than miss out on it. And then the price can be higher during pre-market where volume is too low on BitU, and then I have no choice but to just watch it go higher. I'd rather accumulate now than to wait, and potentially not have the chance to get a pretty good deal, right? So that's the idea behind it. And I'll give you guys an update on the BitU position soon, sometime this week. I haven't added or taken anything out of it. It's still the same. It's like over 1,000 shares. I had it on a previous video, but right now with Mara, the idea is that this yellow resistance area is it works out pretty well if you look at the descending resistance from these wicks up here. Before Mara came down, we called this sell area really well, just like we in this channel called really good buying opportunities before going up, and then before it went up, and then we had 4 levels to shave our positions off before it came down. The idea is that due to macro characteristics, it doesn't matter what tariffs are doing. It doesn't matter on the Fed's opinion, drops. None of that matters. What matters is that we came down quite aggressively. We finally, we've been making these like lower lows for a while after, trying to hold premium prices. We came down. We are now creating a uptrend. The idea is that this sort of like this ascending support and this ascending resistance line will continue to hold the price higher into this next take profit area. This red accumulation area is very similar to Bitcoin, although Mara is it broke the 0.5 earlier than Bitcoin did, and I kept saying in previous videos that any weakness in Bitcoin, I've said this many times, amplifies in Mara. So we had a really, really good, we're still in accumulation. In my opinion, is a really, really good area to purchase shares, anything below 17. I did say that in previous videos that, if the price breaks below 15, that's an amazing deal. But anything under 60 will be good too. Regardless, we're in this accumulation area. The idea is to accumulate based on your own position sizing, whatever your risk management requires and your own personal trades. But the idea is we're in this accumulation area, good deals for the idea that Bitcoin will still hold good prices for Mara to profit off of their mining. It will be reflected in their monthly and quarterly reports going forward, and due to anticipation of increased revenue. Mara is doing a really good job at increasing their hash rate as well. But anticipation that they're growing and those reports will be better as Bitcoin holds higher prices. It could lead towards short-term higher prices, at least now. I've gone over this in previous videos. In the big picture, Mara has a lot of expenses. There's the 4-year cycle where the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half, and it becomes much more increasingly difficult to mine. But Mara's doing a really good job at setting themselves up for the future. At least if you guys look at the amount of mining equipment, it's all public information, investor relations website they have. But they're increasing their Bitcoin holdings. They're increasing their hash rate. They're definitely setting up, right. Regardless of what anyone thinks of the company, it's a reason why they're, like, I think the best, or at least top 3 mining companies in the world. I'm not like biased in Mara. It's just all facts. You guys can look it up yourself. But the idea is that anticipation for increased positive numbers, and as Bitcoin gets ready to make its next leg up. Of course, Mara doesn't have to follow Bitcoin exactly, but regardless, it's in a discount buying opportunity. Just like here and just like here, it's similar. It's the same thing. We're in an accumulation phase. The idea is that if Mara, or if Bitcoin, now there's two ways. It's going to play out basically the same when it comes to like the overall structure. Because right now everything Bitcoin stock, everything's trading based off like tariff and the jobs report and the Fed's, what the expectations are. Everything's trading the same. Emotion is super strong in the market when it comes to that, so that's why we got to stay centered. If Bitcoin goes up, this blue area that I explained earlier is the equivalent for this yellow area. So if Bitcoin goes higher and the stock market goes higher and all that, it can influence Mara to come up into this retracement resistance area from this whole move down, right? So this is the equivalent. And then from there, if Bitcoin decides to hit that 0.5, this can be easily due to new fear in the market. It can be random news. But the idea is that for anyone, in my opinion, that is accumulating now, if we go higher into this area around $18, especially if we break into $18, it may be a good idea to potentially at least lock in some profit, right? Because you earned it. Lock in some profit for, of course, the possibility of Bitcoin coming down to that 0.5 retracement, and then Mara will have a second test, retesting the swing low, second test, one more time in the discounted portion of the accumulation phase before it goes up into the take profit area up here. Now you can either just hold. If it comes down, accumulate more, and then in my opinion, that's fine. You guys decide your own risk management and then take profit here. But regardless, as Mara goes higher, we'll have another simple retracement following the price higher into this area, allowing the price to do one of these where it goes up into resistance, regardless of what Bitcoin does, regardless of what the macro and overall stock market does. There could be a lot of short-term selling here, but the idea is that we'll come down into that support I just had there a moment ago, to see if the bulls are enough to hold a simple retracement, and then from there up into this area. If it fails, just like in Bitcoin, we can easily see one more time a second test of the swing low, and then from there we'll go higher. It's as simple as that. I believe there's a lot of selling pressure here. That's why it's a good idea to potentially secure yourself, lock in some profit. See how healthy the support will be, and how healthy Bitcoin looks at that moment in the short term. But regardless, if you wait the whole time, or if you just do one simple accumulation, and then you're looking just to sell in this area, regardless of what happens here, it's all short-term noise. The idea is that we are in accumulation in the red area. Regardless of what happens, the next overall important stop will be up here, which will be the it overlaps with the ascending resistance. It allows Bitcoin to hold, or Mara to hold, the new, very nice and healthy bullish structure that we're looking at. We're in retracement accumulation, and then regardless, the next stop before we see aggressive selling, just like right here when we hit that sell point with the imbalanced value gap, we had some aggressive selling. Never hit the 0.5. Eventually we did. Here we already hit the 0.5, but the idea is that, as just like here, we go up, we hold support, we hold retracement, we go up into the sell point, the take profit point. We have a big dip. So the next time I'm expecting at least an aggressive dip. We'll be making a new high, coming into around $22, like 21 to 22, even $23 for this third line up here. But regardless, I really don't expect $24 to be broken. I do expect, easily 20 to 23, most realistically for this next leg up. But regardless, accumulation, take profit. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it made sense. Let's keep an eye on Bitcoin. Let's keep an eye on macroeconomic articles and all that stuff that comes out, so we can really analyze the health aspect of. Oh, and also one more thing, this retracement also overlaps with a value gap. So usually we see a lot of volume change within this area, right? So it's a very important area to keep an eye on, and then from there we'll look at the support to keep an eye on how healthy it is. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.